Hello, welcome to another Adventures in Bing chat. So this idea came about as a result of something I was just relaxing to or around or chilling out with. The weekend I recorded this video, which is I dug out all of my back issues of Kerrang Magazine. I've done previous videos where I talked about, I think, the first 10 issues. And so I dug out all 50 and had a very pleasurable Saturday afternoon reading through that first issue, the one with Angus Young on it, which I'm sure we'll see in a moment come up digitally, and listening to some albums from the Strictly for Connoisseurs section in the magazine, which I'd never got round to listening to. I think the MC5 were in there actually, which I had listened to previously. But I was pretty pleased to discover that I think all of the albums are actually on Spotify. And then an idea bounced into my head, and I thought it's interesting to find out the sort of limits of Bing Chat's reach, if you like, where you're talking about something which, as far as I know, never existed as a digital copy at the time, because Kerrang Magazine came out in 1981, and that would have been, before, the general public had proper access to the internet. I'm just trying to think actually without, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of a date that, certainly in the UK, the general public would have had access to the internet via dial-up, and certainly the dates that are in my head, wouldn't have been something until the 90s, really. I was using computers in the 80s, but I certainly wasn't using a modem, and all the computers I used were at work. It wasn't until about, 94, maybe 93, 94, I think, where I got my first PC. And that had a modem in it. So, when you've got a publication from 81, anything that's online is going to be scans that were done after the fact. It's not like now when you go on to, through the Decibel app and are able to download digital copies of the Decibel magazine or, Metal Hammer or anything like that. And of course, it's not the case with newer issues of Kerrang, but anything like really old like this. So I was really curious as to where Bing might take me. So I've got a question here. And again, as you probably gathered, a lot of this stuff I like to just put in a conversational style. So here I started the conversation in creative mode, and I'm saying I stumbled across some old copies of Kerrang Magazine, and I suppose I should put I am particularly interested in the first issue. Can you tell me about that very first issue? So let's see where this takes us. Now I'm going to try and pay particular attention to what it's searching for, because I'm hoping it'll do as it did in my test run of this, because I always normally do one test run. It's going to find an actual copy of a retrospective PDF of the magazine. So here we go. It's published on the 6th of June 1981 as a one-off heavy metal special from Sounds newspaper. Features Angus Young of AC/DC on the cover. I remember it well, seeing as I was reading it, only just reading it. And then articles on bands like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath and Motorhead. Also the heavy metal quiz and a list of all-time heavy metal top 100 albums. That's actually wrong. That first issue didn't have that. It had tracks. The albums bit, I think, was in the 3rd or 4th issue. The first issue was so popular it sold out within days. The magazine became a monthly publication, initially. You can see the complete magazine. So it is referencing that So there is a copy. Let me just bring that up on a second tab. All-time favourite HM tracks as voted. So yeah, it's actually tracks. So there we go. It's actually a pretty good scan, actually. I'm now curious as to whether it's got other issues in the Internet Archive. Oh, and you can download this as well. So the bit I was particularly interested in is... where's it gone? Strictly for connoisseurs. So yeah, I'll work my way through here. Listen to these first three. This is a really interesting album, Marcus by Marcus. Check it out. Anyway, back to this. So I'm going to specifically try and get it to tell me, now we've seen the online copy, let's see, what are some sections in that first issue of Kerrang? First issue contents. So what was interesting, when I tried this earlier, another search it did was it actually searched for the PDF. So Kerrang News, Kerrang Features, Kerrang Reviews. I think it's sort of giving these its own titles. Charts. Well, we can fact check this. News, features, reviews, charts and letters. Were they doing a top 20 at that point? So Mayhem, not the band as in the section. So there's some interviews. That's our 100 tracks. That's new bands, armed and ready. Yeah, it's very general, isn't it? Yeah, it was always full of posters. I'm surprised that many of this first issue survived, simply because a lot of people may have taken posters out. Oh, sounds like we have a visitation by Yowly Kitty. Obviously, Yowly Kitty has a lot to say about the first issue of Kerrang Magazine, because, you know, of course they remember it well. What's this about? Footwear? This is interesting, the purple Gillen Whitesnake family tree. Pete Frame, yeah, very famous illustrator of these family trees, this particular style. There was a whole series on BBC TV actually about, yeah, with all of these various family trees. It's a metal mastermind. I don't see the chart, interestingly enough. I think that was a later edition. So yeah, it's being very generic. What other bands featured in that issue? So, can you list the bands that were interviewed? I don't hold out much hope for this, but I'm pleased that it was able to find the one on the Internet Archive. That was pretty cool. So what we're looking for is what Saxon and Black Axe. I think the rest was mainly posters. Just short sections. I don't think we had any other. This one's one about labels. Yeah. Yeah, right. They didn't do that, did they? Oh yeah, there was an interview. Okay, so Silverwing and Venom. But that was a different Venom. Yeah, so there was a glam metal Venom at that point, I believe. One on Montrose as well. Missed that. I mean, there were short, what do you call it, like biog bits. But I don't see anything here specifically about AC/DC. Okay, so see, I don't see that in the. Oh, I don't that. No, I don't see that in the copy you directed me to. Six, 8, 10, 12 and 14 of the magazine. Okay, so let's try this. Is that 8? Yeah, 6 is 6. Okay. Mm. Six is Saxon. From 6 to 8. The other interviews are Saxon. This was actually an interview with Black Axe, wasn't it? Yeah. Another interview was with Black Axe. There were posters. Of the bands you mentioned. That's funny. No. I have the version in paper and it's the same as the one you directed me to. So I don't think it's missing anything. Let's see at what point I can get it a bit stroppy. Okay, you're welcome. Oh well, that came out not too bad, did it? It didn't get all testy with me. Throw a hissy fit. Oh yeah, I would. Do you know how it ran before becoming weekly? Because I think that was a big changeover. Having the Trust album. Repression. It was probably as a result of reading this magazine I actually bought that. Oh no, actually I may have heard Repression on some of the tracks on the Friday Rock Show. Fortnightly magazine in 82, 87. Okay, I won't bother fact checking that. See if it knows how long did the Strictly for Connoisseurs run. See if I can actually spell this correctly or the way they have it. So I got a rate from what I looked at the weekend. I think it just ran for 20 issues, or that's when it seemed to stop, but I didn't go through all the remaining issues I have. So do changing the editorial policy. Okay, so which issues add a top 100 albums in them. So what are they looking to here? Okay, that's their online. That's on Rate Your Music. Okay. There we go. So we got number 3. It's actually David Coverdale on the cover. Okay, fair enough. When did it come out? September 1981. Okay, I think things are getting a little out of the way. So clearly it doesn't have any way of looking at this. I wonder if is it grabbing anything from here? I don't think so. I don't know what metadata this has. Well, this is very entertaining, eh? So, oh, Demon, I remember them. White Snake. Oh, I used to really like these actually, because if you think back to the day, you know, this is one possible way of finding out about albums when magazines used to feature like those retrospectives. That's a cool film. Excalibur. Oh, there's the other Venom. Raven. You can see as it went on there was a lot more interviews and features on specific bands. Okay, I don't think I see... Yeah. So things are going a bit off of... So what I'm going to do is what issues are available on online at, this will be interesting, archive.org. I'll spell available wrong, never mind. Get rid of that. Bring that over onto my other screen in case I want to ask it some other questions. $1666. What? 30 years of covers. That's interesting. Issue 27. Oh, Baron Rojo, of course, yes. I see. Here's the singles and albums charts. I should go through some of my back issues to find out when they first started appearing. Oh yeah, Baron Rojo. Get His Axe, Aaron, Genesis, oh, John Sykes, Hunk of the Month. Oh, Billy Squire. Oh, that's the, yeah, they used to do this Stars in Their Cars feature as well. Issue 1616, I suppose. Let me just bring up that. So that's interesting that it's a bit weird. Oh, so that's on The Guardian. Where does this go up to? Let's have a quick. 2010. That was done in 2011, that article. Oh, okay. 30th anniversary, wow. Well, let's do as it says. Wow. Some of the later ones on here as well. Okay. So it looks like there's quite a lot on the Internet Archive. I don't know what it goes up to. Oh, hang on. So interesting. Looking at it though, I reckon that, you know, the years may not be accurate. I wonder if that's just the upload years. Hmm. 2016. Yeah, I'll definitely be going through this. There's obviously up to the, you know, I've got, like I said, up to issue 50, but I'm always curious about some of these specials where they do these big charts. Do I want to look at the list and start shouting at my computer screen? What do you reckon is number one? Probably, did we go past it? Well, a lot of posters. Have I accidentally? Oh, there we go. So, number one is Metallica's Ride the Lightning. Number two is Paranoid. Okay. It's mainly old stuff. Rain in Blood, that must be. Pantera. And there's the first Sabbath album. What's that, number 9? Overkill. Good choice. I'll have to have a flick through that. Angel, first Battery album. First First Slipknot album. Wow, okay. Went off with a bit of a side tangent there, but that's part of one of the reasons for doing this as well is if it's going to help you uncover online resources for things, then that's useful, even though it seems to be obviously hallucinating about the content, but clearly it's not scanning inside the PDF or is able to do that. It's just making sort of educated guesses. I mean, this is what you're seeing when you get a lot of these so-called hallucinations, is it's making shit up, as I've said before, but based along some sort of assumption about what it does know in terms of, as part of predicting the next word, based on what you've asked it. So, yeah, interesting. But it does give me some ideas in terms of, again, part of this is just early on playing around with this, showing you different things I sort of try out as just tests that then give me ideas for prompting. So I find a lot of when I'm messing around with prompting or working them out initially, I'll just do a sort of kicking the tires experiment where I'll try a few things out and see how accurate it is, obviously against things I'm fairly familiar with or have, in this case, like paper copies of, or can look it up and just see where it's going wrong and see, how correct it can get. And you can see it does these things. We've seen it before on episodes I've done where it starts making up titles of certain things based on tying into words that you've used. So hopefully that was informative, and any metal fans out there got a good idea of where they can find out. I'll include the link to the Internet Archive. I should be able to embed the search, as well. So let me just make sure that's going to work okay. So I'll embed that search in the description. Thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in the next episode.